Okay, Chris, we're going to get started now.
Okay.
Okay, we're here now with Chris Planzer.
Yep, very good.
Chris Planzer. And Chris, you're running for Norwalk School Board.
That's correct.
Tell us a little bit more about yourself. Your background, how long you've lived in the district, a little bit more about your personal.
I got to think of the years back. I'm sorry. I have to go all the way back to college. I just have to do the math every time. It's 20 plus years, whatever that is. And I have two kids in the district. One is a senior at Mirada High School, and one is in 8th grade at Benton Middle School. And been actively involved at the district level and the campus level since the first one was in kindergarten. Business is public relations and marketing.
Okay.
And that evolved from a photography business, so just sort of changed as clients made requests. So.
What kind of PR business?
Well, it's usually national corporations that are Southern California based. I say usually because there are deviations. There are companies that called on us and said, please. And I said, well, you're out of our service area, really, but you know, it's email and plane flight every now and then.
Okay. And talk a little bit more about your background at the Norwalk School District. Some things that you might have been involved with as far as parental involvement.
Oh, gee, the list is long. I've served on the site council at each of the campuses my kids have been at for every year that the kids have been at those campuses. As a parent, active parent, as a facilitator for more years than just a member of those committees. At the district level, I've served on several IT department projects, whether it's reviewing the new Power School program, what we're going to roll out there for a student information system. God, there's kind of quite a list, Randy. I didn't bring the whole
that's okay.
The whole resume, but it's
kind of like off the top of your head.
It goes on and on. When my oldest started school, the first thing I did was ask the principal where they felt there was the biggest need. How could I help? And that particular principal said, well, we're really short on technology. Well, I deal with public relations and marketing with corporations that replaced, at that time, they were replacing technology every 2 years. And I said, well, that should be a no-brainer. Yeah. We actually, our nonprofit corporation started specifically to start the Computers to Schools project. So, you know, I just put the word out. We did, over the course of 2 years, I probably did 200 Lions Club, Rotary, Kiwanis, Elks, chamber meetings, and just put the word out that this is what we were doing. Formed partnerships with the Westwood College and had a bunch of volunteers that were kids that were going into the IT department. They were getting their education there. And I mean, the school taught you real well how to set up a network for a hospital, but no one was ever going to get hired to design and set up a network for a hospital. So, you know, I gave the plea of reality. If you really want a grassroots approach, you know, come help, come volunteer. And we had 3 crews working. 2 were night crews and 1 was a Saturday day crew. And I had crew leaders that we trained up, and we had a building that was comped to us for 2 years. And I'd collect the equipment from all over Southern California and bring it to the place, and the kids would sit there and you know, just beat on it until they got it back into shape that was workable, and replace parts and swap out parts, and then ultimately we just started giving them away. Any teacher that asked for a computer in their classroom got it. Whatever they asked for.
That's great.
It was great. It was great. We gave a lot of equipment away, and even today it's changed significantly. It's morphed significantly. But even just today, I installed 8 computers on a teacher that wound up with a yearbook program and didn't have any technology in her classroom. How can you have a yearbook program? You know, so they asked. They called this morning. And said, I need 8 computers for a yearbook class. Can you help? And I said, well, I got an hour.
I'll be there.
Let me bring over what I've got. Anyhow.
An extensive inventory.
Yeah, my wife kind of grumbles about it. The garage winds up swelling and then shrinking and swelling and then shrinking, but you know.
No room for cars.
No, there's no room for cars, no.
So tell us about what are some of the most important issues facing Norwalk School District for the next couple of years. What do you feel are the biggest things biggest challenges and hurdles that they might be facing right now?
Well, there are a lot. Certainly finances is paramount. What the state's doing with this goes all the way back to the lottery. You know, I believed in the lottery, voted for the lottery, and then I watched clearly how the lottery was manipulated to not add dollars into the campuses, which was a gross disappointment. But you know, we're back at it again, right? If the state needs to cut money, the biggest budget area they've got is education. So where do they cut? They cut in education. That's where we just.
How do you feel about school closures?
They're going to happen. I'd like to say they're not. They are going to happen. It's
Somewhere?
unrealistic. I'm sorry.
You've already closed what, 3 campuses?
Horta, the elementary school, and Hargett. You know, all over the years we've closed a billion campuses. You know, yeah. I mean, you can go all the way back to Neff, right? And
You think that you have to close?
there absolutely are school closures in the future of the district. It is. It is. You know, and I'll give you this one too. I remember the first time I heard the forecast of declining enrollment. I'm not talking about, I mean, we were already in with some declining enrollment, but I heard the forecast saying that in 2 years we're going to lose, you know, 450, 500 kids. And it was a repetitive forecast. And I said, there's no way. There's no way they can look at the birth rates and just, you know, crystal ball that we're going to lose. But they were never wrong. And that always baffled me. You know, I was a skeptic saying, I don't know how they got this number, and didn't believe it, but they were never wrong. They've never been wrong.
Is the district still experiencing
Yeah.
a decline?
Yeah. We've got to push right now. There's an emphasis right now to change the focus of some of the campuses to try to make them more appealing to out-of-district permit in.
Yeah, because at ABC, the last board meeting, they said that they've stemmed the decline. And in fact, they
I can't answer for ABC.
Increased about nth percentage.
Yeah. I can't answer for ABC.
But Norwalk is still facing that
Yes, it is.
problem.
The forecast now is another couple of years out.
Yeah.
I think that'll get adjusted some. I think some of the modifications to some of the middle schools and the programs that they're offering may adjust it some, or it may not. It just depends how those programs are received.
Does Norwalk have magnet programs?
It didn't. Shoot. Benton Middle School last year. Okay, so let's go. This is.
And Benton's in La Mirada, right?
Benton's in La Mirada.
Okay.
Benton was. Okay, so this is. This right now is 11, 12. So that would have been 10, 11. So in January, February, March of 10, the decision was to make Benton a magnet, visual performing arts, VAPA magnet, and that was the posture for about a month, and then it changed to it being instead of it being a magnet, it was going to be an academy, not roll out the magnet yet. And so Benton started last year, September of last year, as the first year of it being the Visual Performing Arts Academy. And that's what I meant by some of the magnet programs that are launching. Then this year, they changed it to being a magnet. Well, you know, the answer is once you've started as an academy, it's an academy. You know, you might put magnet in the name, but it really didn't change.
Isn't a lot of schools, when they become a magnet school, they say we're such and such magnet school academy? They add that word on.
They might very well. From my perspective, the difference of it being an academy or being a magnet is the opportunity for additional funding, and I haven't seen those arms reach out yet, but they have launched a handful.
Is it just one school?
Last year was one. This year it's 4.
That's good.
Yeah.
And then you said that you'd mentioned that about school closure. You said it's pretty much a done deal.
It's my understanding at this point in time that staff has been advised to put numbers together and make recommendations in the fall, so that the board has the opportunity to consider it in the fall prior to it happening. You know, March is when it has to be announced, if you will,
Yeah.
so it's for the closure to happen legally.
And if you get elected in November and you become a school board member, what is it going to be? How are you going to be able to deal with this? Are you going to support the school closures, or what would you do if you were serving that position right now?
I'm afraid the reality of life is the reality of life. You know, when you're losing kids, if you lose 500 kids a year, and we've lost 500 kids a year for at least 6 years, we're down 3,000 students. You know, do the math.
Does the district sell the campuses, close campuses, or just close them down?
We haven't sold any campuses. We have gone through a 7-Eleven committee. Last year, the 7-Eleven committee put together to make a recommendation, and certain leases were put together with Biola specifically for one of the campuses, for areas, chunks of the campus. You ask how I would deal with school closures. I'm not trying to avoid the question.
No, please, that's fine.
It's going to have to happen. The challenge with school closures is when you lose 500 kids, you don't lose 500 kids in this neighborhood in the 3rd and 4th and 5th grade. You lose 500 kids across the district, which means it's impacting every campus, some grade level. So I think when school closures are considered, it's more than just, you know, which school. It's not just which school. It's not even a matter of whether a school has 200 kids or 1,000 kids. It's a matter of how do we redistribute the kids to cause the least disruption. Certainly the geographic boundaries of different campuses has to be considered, and whether that means rebounding, redistricting, call it whatever you want. I'm not sure what the answer to that question is, but that's the equation that's actually harder to answer than.
What do you do with the staff?
Yeah. Good. I was just going to ask that exactly.
Well,
Do you spread them out throughout the district?
Usually-
Lay them off, or
no. For the most part, the teachers and the aides follow the kids.
Yeah.
The question is more what happens to the administration. The administration, you know, we have attrition, and attrition happens every year. I guess I should look back at how it has been done. Layoffs come because of budget cuts and changing class size.
Yes.
That's where layoffs come.
Yeah.
Closing a campus doesn't affect a layoff situation. It affects the cost of the administration of the building and the function of the building, the expense of the building. So that's where the cost savings comes from. So,
Chris, do you favor some people have said that maybe some of these school districts here, there's just too many of them in our area, in the community, and there's too many people in too many small districts. And would you support maybe an action to maybe consolidate a couple districts into bigger districts, or do you think that's a key, or do you like it just the way it is? Such as Little Lake School District and Los Nietos and some of these other
yeah, no, I
ones.
understand.
Have you given it much thought?
No, this is the first time I had that concept. But I'll actually say I would actually go the other direction. I have recognized the significant challenges dealing with the demographic differences between Norwalk and Mirada, and I often wonder whether or not I remember it was a number of years back. In fact, I know it's gone through 2 rounds where different groups thought, well, what if we separate the two? And it's not practical. But every time the question comes up, I'm that little spark lights up about, maybe there's a possibility. What would happen if, when you go through the what if scenario and you think, okay.
Brian?
He's got his door closed. Let me tell him.
Is he on the phone?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Who is it?
Press telegram.
Oh, yeah, just.
Hello? 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 Oh, no. Yeah, Brian's still on the phone. Can you hold, or you want to call back in a few minutes? Oh, okay.
That's all right, trying to get news out of us.
I'm sorry.
Again.
It's probably on your breaking stuff.
They're all bad. They're all the same.
You ask about it. I think every time that the question comes up about separating Norwalk and Mirada, which is contrary to what your question was, but still, it always starts the mental juices flowing about how would that work, and what would that do for Mirada, what would that do for Norwalk, because they both have needs, and they both have significant needs, and they're not all the same. And so I'm not sure I would agree with, Los Angeles had a real problem. I don't think I want to go down that path. I think more.
Sorry, buddy.
It's all right.
Delivery. Oh, what do we got? Oh, yes. Oh, my
Business
gosh. The letter bomb? Here, give him to Brian real quick.
Business cards.
Not that long, please, sir.
Now you can distribute business cards.
Chris, thanks for...
Yeah, that's right. Letter bomb.
Letter bomb.
Last name, sir?
Okay.
Last name?
Bernstein.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thanks, man.
All right, no problem. Gentlemen, have a good night.
That was like a letter bomb. Okay. Where'd my sheet go?
In the back of you. On the fan.
Okay, got it. I got it. What about? Let me talk more about the state of public education in California overall. What do you think it's on the right track, bad track? What do you think? I mean, you're a parent, and you're also a candidate for office, and I mean, you're kind of at the at the epicenter, so to speak, of
Let me apologize
public
right up
education.
front. I believe in working where I can make a change. I don't know that I'll have any impact on Sacramento, and I don't have delusions of having impact on Sacramento. My emphasis, my focus is on impacting our 20,000 kids and our education that we can help with here internally. it's a personal frustration to me that we'll have such a high turnout for a presidential election, and yet, you know, each vote on the presidential election has far less impact than having people step up and vote for school board or city council, where school board and city council directly impacts them. The local school boards and the education that happens in our community affects our real estate, affects our property values.
Well, the state has consistently
Reaching into our pocket.
right. And so, what do you think about that?
Well, I'll send my message with my vote. I'm not pleased. No, I'm not at all pleased about the state reaching our pocket. I'm not at all pleased about the state trying to balance its budget on education. It's the easiest target. It's the most invisible. People don't see it. It doesn't, you know, directly. Do they need to raise taxes? Would that be more direct? Boy, that surely would be more visible, wouldn't it? You guys would love to have that for a news story. Yeah, state of California decides to raise sales tax by 5%. Well, shoot, that'd help balance the budget, wouldn't it? I look at things like the redevelopment incursion, what's happening with the cities and they're taking the redevelopment, and I have mixed emotions. The mixed emotion is, well, shoot, if City A didn't give that 10-year sales tax credit to the auto mall to build its mall there, that's money that would ultimately